There's two things that are very weird about Spectre. One, James Bond holding a girl's hand for a long period of time. And two, James Bond wearing a skeleton mask at the Day of the Dead in Mexico City. Spectre is the fourth film starring Daniel Craig as James Bond, and this time around he receives a cryptic message that leads him to a secret organization. While he's doing all that, M is dealing with political forces in London. As Bond gets deeper and deeper and pulling off more layers and layers of Spectre, he is unveiling a terrible truth about the secret organization. Going into Spectre, I was wondering, how are they going to top Skyfall? Skyfall was a really great James Bond, not as great as Casino Royale. Casino Royale is still my favorite James Bond Daniel Craig film, but how are they going to top Skyfall? And I think they did a really great job with Spectre, mixing in the new take of Daniel Craig, how they had Daniel Craig be this James Bond who's much more edgier than the other James Bonds, and they just had this really nice style to these films, but they seem to mix in some of the classic James Bond styles with some of the new James Bond styles, which I really liked. As a moviegoer, I love throwbacks, I love nods to classic films, and this movie had a lot of it, and it made me smile throughout because I was like, I know what's going on here, or yes, I'm excited that this is happening. So a lot of things in Spectre made me smile because a lot of it is nods and throwbacks to the classic James Bond films. And they did a really great job handling it because it does mix that new take of James Bond that Daniel Craig does so well, mixed in with some of the classic things that I love about James Bond. Some of the things that I really love about Spectre is the new villain, played by Christoph Waltz. He was a very sinister villain and had much more to him than we expected, and he was feared by many. The way that they handled his character, him sitting in the room, if you see the trailers, him sitting at this table and the lighting on him is very dark, it's ominous, and you don't really know who he is, and you really feel like that throughout the whole entire film. And they keep that secrecy through this character throughout the whole entire film. It just makes it for an interesting, very tense character. Storyline to Spectre, I think, was very tense and interesting at times. It did seem a little simple at times. You know, Skyfall had this like big message and expanded a lot, but the way that Spectre was told, that seemed very simple, but yet very tense, because the moments that we know that we are encountering James Bond and this villain played by Christoph Waltz, it does add for a lot of tension throughout. Another thing that I really loved is the henchman played by Dave Bautista. In a lot of the other James Bond films, I felt like a henchman was needed to add more of a fight scene, because we know James Bond is really great. He can fight a lot of people, yeah, but we need a battle. We need someone who's tougher than he is and see how he can handle that. You know, he had Oddjob, who was really great. Jaws, who was a big hassle for James Bond. And now we have this guy played by Dave Bautista, who I thought was so cool because he is massive compared to Daniel Craig. And the way he fights, he's throwing him through these walls like it's nothing. It reminds me of the Vin Diesel, The Rock fight in Fast 5, sorry. It's just that Batista is much more bigger than Daniel Craig, and the way he's throwing him like it's nothing is so fun to watch, and it's a smile on your face, and like, how is Bond going to overcome this? So overall, I thought Spectre was a really great film. It had one of the best villains in here. It was very sinister, very chilling at times, of how this villain is going to do his next plans, what is going to happen. I thought the henchman was really great, added for a nice fight scene between him and Bond. Even though the storyline was very simple at times, it was very tense and overall a very fun film. I did love the nods to the classic James Bond films. Some of the cars, the music, the opening sequence was very different from Casino Royale, but I still loved it. Everything about this film was really great, and I just love James Bond. I've been loving James Bond since I was young. I've been watching all of his films, and this is another great James Bond film. So I'm going to go ahead and give Spectre an A. This is Just Watching Movies with his review of Spectre, spoiler free. I should have said in the beginning. But anyways, I'm going to do a spoiler filled review for Spectre, where I'm going to talk more about things in depth. So that's just watching movies. I hope everybody has a great time seeing Spectre. And comment down below, what is your favorite James Bond film? Mine, I will tell you guys later in another video. So that's just watching movies, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.